Does anyone care about Lil Pump anymore? The youngest flexer?
Pump literally dropped an album the other day and no one noticed.
The world just was like, could not get enough of Pump for a while, and then just at some point they just decided like, man, we just don't care like the way that we used to.
Trash, garbage, or simply the worst rapper of all time, or simply Lil Pump.
And 2 years later, it's irrelevant. You look at all their Instagram followers, they got mad followers, no activity.
Lil Pump had potentially the worst flop in history.
From $1 million cribs to owing millions to the IRS and feds being after him, what went wrong? Lil Pump failed to pay $1,676,738.65 on his bill. The document warns Pump if he doesn't cough up the money, and quickly, the IRS will begin the process of seizing his property, aka his $5 million Miami mansion. That's right.
Man, that video dropping tomorrow, man. Fuck all.
Today we go over where it all started to go wrong and what led his streams to fall, causing him to go broke. The rise of Lil Pump to superstardom to just dumb broke. Lil Pump grew up in Florida, and his parents got divorced at a very young age, and because of this, he acted out quite a bit, which, let's just say, probably contributes to his controversial figure. But early on, this resulted in his getting kicked out of mad schools, which obviously didn't help his situation in life.
Man, I thank God every day for waking up and doing what I want to do, you know?
Luckily, he met Smoke Perp, the rapper. Smoke Perp would start him down a path that would lead him to where he is right now in terms of his music career, meaning he got Lil Pump into the music.
All right, what's the estimated value of the jewelry you have on right now? 50?
$250.
Jeez, man.
This all began in 2015 when Smoke Perp asked Lil Pump to freestyle for him on a track that he was making. The track was put on SoundCloud and it got millions of hits. And from that point on, Lil Pump started cranking out mad music after that. In 2017, he released his most famous song, Gucci Gang, and that got him the attention he truly needed to become a name in the music industry. One of the biggest highlights in his young career, by far, was getting a contract by Warner Bros. Records, and it wasn't a small contract either. He got $8 million for signing with them. As I said, wasn't a small contract, and it's just the first one he's ever officially signed because he's still with Warner Records today.
Lil Pump has signed a new record deal with Warner Brothers to the tune of around $8 million.
Lil Pump has released many albums and singles and teamed up with many well-known rappers and artists. His work with rappers including Chief Keef, Kanye West, Lil Uzi Vert, and more.
Lame as hell. Ain't nobody listening to your old ass. You lame as bitch.
But instead of pushing things forward in the right way, the fair way, he became arrogant, greedy, and he loves to piss people off.
And right now with you and J. Cole, is that all over with? It seems like there's like a truce if there ever was a beef. Is there a beef?
I think so. I don't know.
He even got the ultimate compliment when word got out that Lil Pump in some ways was a blueprint for getting a young rapper's success. They were trying to find rappers and artists that had his level of talent and were going to push him the same way and thus ensure that they made money off their new stars like that WB was doing with Lil Pump.
I'm the reason why SoundCloud exists and nobody could change my mind. Y'all see it. It was really Florida, like X, Ski, Perp.
He was one of the leaders of the mumble rap movement, which I know y'all are familiar with. And that should have been enough for him to be okay for the rest of his career. But instead, not so much. Not the least of which was the various acts that he committed by his own hand. The fall of his mainstream chances, his first arrest, which I'm sure y'all also remember.
Because you already lied to us, so you're already done.
Pump right there. Let's get it.
And he's never truly been afraid to break it as long as he felt he could get away with it. Shocking. But ironically, unlike some rappers, his arrests didn't start immediately once he got into music. He actually stayed most only on the straight and narrow for the most part, including in 2017 when he had his biggest hit, Gucci Gang. Yet in 2018, he fell off the wagon. The first of his string of arrests came in February of that year, when he discharged a firearm in a place that had people in it. While owning a firearm isn't illegal per se, firing a weapon without cause where people can get hurt, I would say is a pretty big crime. And the police were obviously called because of the event.
You put your turn around. Gotta put this behind your back.
But here's why things get a little more interesting. Lil Pump's manager stated to the police that some people tried to break into Lil Pump's home, and he opened fire on them as a result of this intrusion. Had this been true, or proven, then Lil Pump would have been free and clear under the laws of self-defense. However, as you can guess, that's not exactly what happened. okay? And Lil Pump himself made the situation, worse.
Who was behind that gun? As right now, it doesn't appear that anybody was injured that night.
Because the weapon was nowhere to be found when the police arrived, which you would think wouldn't be the case when it's clear it had been discharged in the room, it was only after getting a search warrant that they found the piece and ammo hidden away. But oh, it gets so much better for us. Because the police then found out that the piece in question belonged not to Lil Pump, but his mom! And she hid it in a place that just about anyone who knew about the firearm could get, including Lil Pump.
The 17-year-old rapper has been arrested for discharging a weapon in an inhabited place.
While he was getting arrested, there was not enough evidence to discredit his claims, and so instead of jail time, he got put on probation.
See my ankle? House arrest, house arrest, house arrest, house arrest.
Which for him should have been a wake-up call, but for him, again, what do y'all think happened? Wasn't the case. Arrest after arrest, and no big brands will want to work with you because a slow death to the Lil Pump brand is happening? Obviously, as part of his probation, he wasn't allowed to go driving, meaning he had his license revoked by the court. Driving without a license is another huge offense, especially when you're on probation. But of course, that didn't matter to Lil Pump, because he went out driving and got pulled over by a cop right there, as you guessed, if he was arrested. And a few days later, Lil Pump himself admitted that he was going to be doing jail time, and that he wasn't sure when he was gonna get out.
Harvard dropout, drop it August 17th. Scat!
According to reports, he was supposed to serve a few months in jail. And yet, by the end of the month, he was seen at an award show, proving that he either got off early or another deal was cut behind the scenes.
Just standing there watching you perform, and then all of a sudden you're kicking some kid in the face.
Either way, Lil Pump was free, for the time being. But follow the Lil Pump brand, the international arrest, as you're hopefully saying in full, when it comes to Lil Pump, he really doesn't know when to stop being Lil Pump. A lot of the incidents that were mentioned before can be explained for one reason or another. But when it comes to what happened in a certain country late in 2018, it can only be explained as an act of pure and unrefined stupidity. Because he didn't just get arrested once, he got arrested twice, and in the span of less than an hour. This to some of you will consider odd and dumb. But a series of events happened December 4th of 2018. While he was boarding on a plane in Denmark, he got arrested by police after searching his bags.
That's his bag.
Manager can take the bag?
Right, Sergeant. I don't know. This one?
The officers found some bud, which is illegal in the country for the record. So because of this, he was charged with the possession of an illegal substance. He got arrested. The funny part here though is that this arrest was actually a minor offense, and he wasn't supposed to serve jail time for this because of the country's laws. But in fact, he was only going to get a fine of less than $1,000 for having this substance, and that should have been the end of the whole experience, right? But when he decided to use his phone to do an Instagram live as he was being arrested by the cops and put into their police car. I so wish I was not playing about this. And through that stream, he decided to go and insult the cops while they weren't paying attention to him. But likely because they're so used to arresting people talking trash. But he should have known that this would have caught up to him if he kept going. Sure enough, it got a whole lot worse for him. The cops noticed what he was doing, and they noticed him flipping them off while doing the stream on his phone. Which led him to getting arrested again. To reiterate, he was already arrested for the possession charge, and now that he was getting arrested for something different and more severe charges, only Lil Pump, and a few others we can think of, would be able to pull off that type of thing, okay? After being brought to the station in Denmark, Lil Pump did have to go pay a fine for the marijuana, which he did. Obviously, it was about $800, which is fine. It's a small charge for a guy like Lil Pump, not me. I mean, I don't have an $8 million contract with Warner Bros, you know? But definitely a hassle for anybody. Not to mention, it's another charge on his record. And according to sources, while he wasn't held for the offense in regards to flipping off the officers, because of these two combined incidents, Lil Pump was banned from Denmark. How do you ban from Denmark? You know? And for a total of 2 years. 2 years! There are acts that will get you in trouble very easily, but it takes things to another level when you're dumb enough to, you know, get banned from a whole country. And this wasn't even a misunderstanding. But before we forget, he was actually in Denmark for a reason. Let's touch a little bit on that. There were people who bought tickets to a concert he was supposed to attend. Should he have remained composed and just paid the fine for the possession charge? I'll let you be the judge. But he would have been able to go to that concert and make some money. But now, he can't go back to the country for 2 whole years. And any attempts at making cash there or doing any concerts now is impossible. And again, it's all on him. The airplane arrest. This was showing that he was a danger to any mainstream tours that generate millions for an artist like Lil Pump. Also, his fault was the fact that a mere 90 days after getting banned from Denmark, Lil Pump found himself in trouble once again. He was in Miami, where he was arrested for driving without a license charge, blah, blah, blah.
Not driving. I ain't got good luck with cars, man.
And was trying to board a plane when the airport security personnel showed up. They asked to search his bags, likely because they knew of his priors, but he refused. Again, because this was a legal search, the plane wouldn't take off without their clearance. They tried to get Lil Pump to understand that this was going to happen. Hey, but not only did Lil Pump refuse again, he started to make a scene and shouted with his refusals. Eventually, the security arrested him for disorderly conduct and he was detained as a result.
Every time. All right, that's it.
The irony of this particular arrest, though, was that he was honestly kind of innocent. I know, right? Crazy. After the possession charge. After being arrested, security searched his bags and found that he honestly didn't have anything. So he would have been free and clear if he had just kept a cool head and let them search his bags. But you know, hey, but y'all know what he did instead? He threw a scene and got arrested again. Although he was let go soon after the incident took place, at this point, you'd probably hope that we had no more issues or controversies to speak of. But yeah, guess what? We do.
The world just was like, could not get enough of Pump for a while. And then just at some point, they just decided like, man, we just don't care.
The destruction of his brand with racial slurs and controversy after controversy. I mean, it goes without saying, Lil Pump is never a person who is opposed to getting loud and crude for what he thinks is cool. And he's also never afraid to get controversial when it comes to his songs. Okay? Many times over the course of his career, Lil Pump has found himself targeted by people in the media because of the lyrics in his tracks.
Yes, skis.
Mainly because of his rap style, because it's infamous for having all sorts of controversial explicit language and so many racial slurs that should not be allowed. But hey, more for us to talk about. One of these incidents came when he made a song called Butterfly Doors. Y'all know the one. Anyway, during the song, he decided it would be funny to include a slur against Asian culture.
And Lil Pump made some statements on the internet disrespecting Asian culture.
Yeah.
What exactly did he say?
He pulled his eyes back and he said ching chong.
Even using the name of the second tallest NBA player ever. Yao Ming of all people, as a reference during the slur. The slur was included in the song and the music video, and during the video, Lil Pump made a motion with his eyes. That was another racial slur against Asians. Had some pretty terrible backlash from the Asian fans and community. Not only did many people condemn him for what he did, so many Asian rappers wrote diss tracks against Lil Pump, and they were so fire. Just to show him how it felt being mocked by him, I guess.
But now, as my question is, would I walk into a room full of black people and say the N-word?
But also it kind of made Lil Pump come back. So much audacity. And he offered an edited version of Butterfly Doors in regards to both the soundtrack and the music video. And had to make a public apology, but given his nature, y'all know where I'm going with this, it's very likely that he honestly didn't care. Let's be real here, y'all. To me, it seems like he only really did it for publicity, and he didn't mean his apology. But look, if you don't believe that, let's take a look at another controversy that he did in response to a rapper insulting him. Y'all might know the one, J. Cole, who's a veteran of the rap trade, and one day he decided to school some young mumble rappers with the song 1985. In it, he called out the mumble rappers for not being smart in regards to both their music and their money, even noting that some of them didn't even own a home.
I think you wanted to FaceTime, right?
Yeah.
I was like, what'd I say? Like,
you're like, nah,
You a big ass troll. I can't pick up. Don't put this shit on the internet. I'm like, nah.
Lil Pump took this as a diss track against the community and against him personally, and so he went out and bought a $4 million house. $4 million house just to spite J. Cole, or at least what was an attempt to. But I know what you're thinking, what's so controversial about this really? It's really just petty. It's this part. He went on Instagram and he said that he did this purchase because he was bored. Okay.
I just woke up the other day. I got bored, so you know what I did? I went and dropped $4.5 million on the house.
He also had a mini feud with J. Cole, but it eventually fizzled out. But that's a great example of how reckless he was with his cash. Because he got called out for not having a home, so he bought one for millions, and then said he did it because he was bored? Man, we're still not done, okay?
And speaking of sound, music, and other things, one of the big superstars of the world, Little Pimp.
The controversial divide of his fans with the Trump support, if there's one thing that pretty much everyone can agree on, is that 2020 sucked, okay? And there were certain elements of that year that sucked worse than others, not the least of which was the 2020 presidential campaign, where things got really, really tense, for lack of better words. And a lot of people showed their true colors in terms of what they believe and who they support, and Lil Pump was obviously one of them. Lil Pump joined the political fray in October of 2020, yelling on Instagram, "All I gotta say is Trump 2020." Lil Pump followed the Instagram live endorsement with a photo of him meeting Trump, as well as a doctored image of Lil Trump featuring the president with dreadlocks and face piercings. Yo, Lil Pump posted 2 videos on his Instagram story showing that he was in the front row of the president's rally in a swing state.
All over the place, cars, trucks, and boats. Organic, 5 boats there, tractors. Did you see the cars today?
The video opens with an excited looking Lil Pump sporting a red "Make America Great Again" hat as he listens intently to Trump speak. He then turned the camera to show the president at the podium during the rally before turning the camera back to himself to show just the pettiest laugh before ending the video. There's no one except what appears to be Secret Service agents between the rapper and the stage, implying he was given front row seats to the event. Trump was flattered by Lil Pump's support so much that he introduced him at the rally. Y'all remember this, much to the joy of his supporters.
Come on up here. Come on up here. Does everyone know who he is? Do you know how big he is? Come on up here.
To be fair, Lil Pump wasn't the only rapper to go and support Donald Trump in his losing effort to get re-elected. Lil Wayne and others tried to get in on the act as well by showing their support for Trump, but not surprisingly, there was so much backlash over rappers supporting Donald Trump, not the least of which is because of all the things that Trump did during his presidency and all the scandals that are continuing to unravel as a result of his time in the White House. So Lil Pump and others supporting him was a bad move no matter how you frame it. But what happened to Lil Pump after all of this? Given that we've seen rappers make a comeback, you'd likely bet that Lil Pump would have just been the latest one to do it. And yet, that's not what happened at all. Instead, of course, Lil Pump had a huge rise to fame thanks to Gucci Gang and a few other things, but there's a clear peak. And then after that, he just slowly started to fall. Now, we won't be that bold and say that his legal issues were the only thing that led to his downfall. And I'm gonna tell you why that's not fair. But they did contribute, I'll say that. Just as important though, when you're in the music business, consistency is key. It's key. You need not to just make music, but make good music. Music that makes everybody want to buy your tracks. Lil Pump started on that path, but hasn't done any good songs since. Let's just be honest here. Can you name one right now that he's done in the last 2 years? Yeah, that's what I thought. And when you add all his legal issues, his beefs with everybody, his questionable choices in terms of endorsements and life, and the fact that mumble rappers aren't exactly favored for obvious reasons right now, you can see that a lot of dots can be connected here. You know, could he bounce back? Sure, but will he? I'm gonna leave that up to you. But there you have it, a look at the rise and fall, big fall, of Lil Pump and how his own actions led to his downfall. Now this is where you come in. I'm curious, do you honestly think that there is a chance Lil Pump can bounce back from this? Or nah? Let me know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe and I'll see you guys next time on the channel.